Dr. Michael Thompson stared at the blinking light on his computer screen, his coffee growing cold beside his keyboard. It was 3 a.m. at the Global Xenobiology Research Center, and he had just received the message that would change human history forever. "This can't be right," he muttered, adjusting his glasses. But the signal was clear, a message from space, written in perfect English, requesting official contact with Earth's scientific community. He reached for his phone with shaking hands and called the center's director. Within an hour, the facility buzzed with activity. Scientists in rumpled clothes rushed through the halls, and security personnel took their positions around the building. The message was simple. "Greetings, Earth. We are the Stellar Council, a confederation of spacefaring species. We wish to establish diplomatic relations and evaluate your world for potential membership." 3 days later, Dr. Thompson stood in the center's main conference room with 5 other top scientists. They watched as a sleek silver ship, no bigger than a bus, landed smoothly on their helicopter pad. The ship's surface seemed to ripple like water in the morning sun. "Remember," Dr. Thompson told his team, "stay calm and professional. This is what we've trained for." But nothing had really prepared them for this moment. The ship's door melted away, revealing 3 tall figures. The aliens looked almost like walking deer, but with 4 arms and silvery blue skin that sparkled in the sunlight. Their large eyes blinked slowly as they studied the humans. The tallest alien stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Kix," it said, its voice surprisingly musical. "We are honored to make your acquaintance." The universal translator at its throat glowed softly with each word. The initial meeting went smoothly until Ambassador Kix mentioned their preliminary scan of Earth. "We must admit," the alien said, tilting its head, "we are quite puzzled. Your planet appears to be what we classify as a death world. Yet you thrive here." Dr. Thompson exchanged looks with his team. "A death world?" he asked. "Yes," another alien, who had introduced himself as Chief Scientist Rill, stepped forward. "Your planet hosts an unusually high number of lethal species. Our initial scans detected over 50 different types of organisms that could kill our kind instantly. Yet you live among them with surprising casualness." Dr. Thompson couldn't help but smile. "Ambassador, those deadly creatures are precisely why we have some of the best biological research facilities in this sector of the galaxy. Would you like to learn more about them?" The alien's interest visibly peaked, their fur bristling with excitement. "You study these creatures voluntarily?" "Of course," Dr. Thompson replied. "Understanding dangerous species is crucial for both our survival and our scientific advancement. We have experts who dedicate their lives to studying everything from tiny poisonous frogs to massive predators." Ambassador Kix consulted a holographic display that emerged from its wrist device. "Our council is particularly interested in biological diversity across the galaxy. Perhaps we could arrange a scientific exchange. Our experts would greatly benefit from studying your world's unique ecosystem." "We would be delighted," Dr. Thompson said, trying to contain his excitement. "Though I must warn you, you'll need to follow our safety protocols very carefully. Many of Earth's deadliest creatures don't look dangerous at all." The aliens exchanged glances, and Ambassador Kix made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Dr. Thompson, we appreciate your concern, but we are an advanced civilization. Our protective technology can handle any biological threat." Dr. Thompson thought about the box jellyfish, the inland taipan, and the countless other seemingly harmless creatures that had proven fatal to overconfident researchers. "With all due respect, Ambassador," he said diplomatically, "I look forward to working with your team. And I suspect Earth has quite a few surprises in store for you." The meeting concluded with plans for a full scientific expedition. As the aliens departed, Dr. Thompson watched their ship disappear into the clouds. He couldn't shake the feeling that these advanced beings had no idea what they were getting themselves into. Earth's deadliest creatures had a way of humbling even the most prepared visitors. He smiled to himself as he headed back to his office. This was going to be interesting. 2 weeks after first contact, Dr. Thompson stood in the center's main lobby, watching his newly assembled team interact. He had chosen each member carefully for both their expertise and their ability to handle unusual situations. They would need both skills for what was coming. "The scanning equipment goes in Lab 3, Dr. Rebecca Anderson called out, directing a group of technicians. Her long blonde hair was tied back in a practical ponytail as she consulted her tablet. As the center's top marine biologist, she had spent years studying the ocean's deadliest creatures. James Cooper, their field research expert, leaned against a wall nearby, checking his well-worn camera gear. His weathered face and the scar on his left arm told stories of close encounters with dangerous wildlife. "Any word on when our visitors arrive?" he asked, not looking up from his equipment. "Their ship just entered the atmosphere," Dr. Lisa Mitchell answered, walking in with a stack of safety protocols. Her expertise in toxicology had saved lives more than once. She pushed her glasses up and added, "They're bringing their own protective gear. They wouldn't even look at our safety suits." Robert Hayes, their wildlife photographer, chuckled as he set up his cameras. "Bet they changed their minds after their first encounter with a brown snake." His steady hands and quick reflexes had captured some of the most dramatic wildlife shots in the field. The building trembled slightly as the alien ship landed outside. This time, it was larger than the first vessel, designed for a full research team. Dr. Thompson gathered his team near the entrance. 6 aliens emerged from the ship, led by Ambassador Kix. They wore what looked like thin, shimmering bodysuits that caught the light like oil on water. Behind them, robotic assistants carried strange equipment that hummed and pulsed with energy. "Dr. Thompson," Ambassador Kix greeted, "we are eager to begin our assessment. Allow me to introduce our research team." The ambassador gestured to each alien in turn. The introductions were interrupted by a loud crash from the loading dock. Everyone turned to see a crate had fallen, spilling its contents. A collection of safely contained blue-ringed octopus specimens for study. The alien researchers jumped back, their protective suits instantly forming bubbles around them. Dr. Thompson noticed James trying not to smile. "The specimens are perfectly secure," Dr. Anderson assured them, walking over to help the technicians. "These containers are designed to withstand impacts far greater than a simple fall." One of the alien scientists, introduced as lead researcher Mira, stepped forward with a scanning device. "Our readings indicate these creatures are barely larger than my hand appendage. Surely they cannot be as dangerous as you claim." Dr. Mitchell smiled politely. "The blue-ringed octopus contains enough venom to kill 26 adult humans. Size isn't everything when it comes to Earth's dangerous creatures." The alien's fur bristled in what Dr. Thompson had learned was their expression of surprise. Ambassador Kix consulted a holographic display. "Our preliminary research suggested Earth's larger predators would be our main concern." "Oh, you'll meet those too," James said, patting his camera. "But out here, it's often the little things that get you." Robert stepped forward, pulling up some footage on his tablet. "Maybe we should start with a visual presentation of what we're dealing with. I've documented most of Earth's deadliest species in their natural habitats." The alien researchers clustered around the tablet, their large eyes widening at each image. Their protective suits hummed louder with each new creature Robert showed them. "This is just the beginning," Dr. Thompson said, watching their reactions. "We've prepared a comprehensive tour of Earth's most dangerous ecosystems. We'll start with the Great Barrier Reef tomorrow morning." Ambassador Kix's translator crackled as it processed the alien's response. "Surely our protective technology will be sufficient for simple aquatic life forms." Dr. Thompson shared a knowing look with his team. "We'll see, Ambassador, we'll see." As they showed the aliens to their quarters, Dr. Anderson whispered to Dr. Thompson, 10 credits says they ask for our safety gear before the week is out." "That's not a bet I'm willing to take," he replied with a smile. "Tomorrow would be interesting indeed." The morning sun sparkled on the Great Barrier Reef's waters as the research team's boat cut through the waves. Dr. Rebecca Anderson stood at the bow, checking water conditions on her tablet, while the alien researchers huddled near the cabin, their protective suits glowing softly. "Water temperature is perfect," she announced, turning to the group. "We should see plenty of marine life today, including box jellyfish in this area." Ambassador Kix stepped forward, the ship's gentle rocking making its forearms wave slightly for balance. "Our scans show these jellyfish are merely collections of simple cells. How dangerous could they be?" Dr. Thompson watched as Dr. Anderson's polite smile tightened slightly. She had lost a colleague to a box jellyfish early in her career. "Would you like to see our footage first?" she asked, reaching for Robert's camera. "That won't be necessary," said Mira, the youngest alien researcher. Its protective suit sparkled as it moved toward the water. "Our suits can handle any simple Earth creature. I will demonstrate. I strongly advise against." Dr. Anderson started, but Mira had already activated its suit's water adaptation mode and slipped into the ocean. The other aliens crowded the railing, their scanning devices buzzing as they took readings. James Cooper quietly moved to the emergency equipment locker, catching Dr. Thompson's eye with a knowing look. For a few minutes, everything seemed fine. Mira swam gracefully through the clear water, its suit's sensors collecting data. Then Dr. Anderson's tablet started beeping. "Box jellyfish swarm approaching," she announced sharply. "Mira, you need to exit the water immediately." The alien researcher waved one arm dismissively. "My suit's shields are at full power. I'm detecting the creatures now. Fascinating cellular structure." What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. A box jellyfish, almost invisible in the clear water, brushed against Mira's suit. For a split second, nothing happened. Then sparks erupted from the suit's surface. "Impossible!" Ambassador Kix exclaimed as their readings went wild. "The venom is penetrating the shield matrix." Mira's translator crackled with a cry of pain. The alien's silvery skin began to turn a dark purple where the jellyfish's tentacles had made contact through the now failing suit. Dr. Anderson was already moving. She grabbed the rescue gear and dove into the water, her protective suit, designed specifically for such encounters, keeping her safe. James Cooper stood ready with the medical kit they'd modified for alien biology. Within 30 seconds, Dr. Anderson had Mira back on the boat. The alien researcher trembled, its fur standing on end and its skin darkening rapidly. The other aliens backed away, their suits' shields now humming at maximum power. "How?" Ambassador Kix demanded, watching Dr. Mitchell administer emergency treatment. "Our shields can withstand molecular acid. How did this simple creature defeat them?" Dr. Thompson handed Dr. Mitchell another antivenin pack. "Box jellyfish venom is unlike anything else on Earth," he explained. "It doesn't just poison. It attacks at a cellular level. Your shields might stop physical damage, but they weren't designed for Earth's biological weapons." "Biological weapons?" An alien researcher's translator chittered in alarm. "These are naturally evolved creatures." "Welcome to Earth," James said grimly, helping Dr. Mitchell stabilize Mira's condition, "where even the blob of goo floating in the water might kill you." Hours later, back at the research center, Mira rested in the medical bay, its color slowly returning to normal. The alien research team huddled around Dr. Anderson as she gave a detailed presentation on box jellyfish venom and proper safety protocols. "Perhaps," Ambassador Kix said quietly to Dr. Thompson, "we should review your safety equipment after all." Dr. Thompson nodded, hiding his relief. "Of course, Ambassador." And this was just day one. "Tomorrow, we can discuss the cone snails." The aliens' fur bristled in unison, and their protective suits hummed a little louder. Earth, they were learning, was going to require a complete rethinking of what they considered dangerous. The humid air of the Amazon rainforest pressed down on the research team as they made their way along a narrow trail. After the box jellyfish incident, the alien scientists had finally agreed to wear modified versions of human protective gear over their own suits. Dr. Lisa Mitchell stopped the group, pointing to a small, brightly colored frog sitting on a leaf. "This," she said, is a golden poison dart frog. Just one of these tiny amphibians carries enough poison to kill 10 adult humans. The aliens, now much more cautious after their ocean experience, kept their distance. Their scanning devices whirred as they studied the small creature. But it's so small, Ambassador Kix said, 4 arms clutching various safety sensors. And colorful, like a child's toy. James Cooper chuckled as he carefully photographed the frog. That's the thing about Earth's deadliest creatures. They don't need to look scary. Some of them are actually beautiful. Dr. Mitchell nodded, making notes on her tablet. The bright colors are a warning. Many of Earth's most poisonous creatures are very colorful. It's nature's way of saying, stay away. A rustling in the trees above made the alien researchers jump. Their new protective suits beeped in response to the movement. Robert Hayes pointed his camera upward, capturing footage of a wandering spider making its way across a branch. Another highly venomous species, Dr. Thompson explained. The Brazilian wandering spider. Its bite can cause breathing problems, shock, and severe pain. One of the alien researchers, whose name translated roughly as Vix, moved closer to scan the spider. Our initial surveys suggested Earth's larger predators would be the main threat. Yet we keep finding these tiny killers everywhere. That's because venom is an extremely effective survival strategy, Dr. Mitchell explained. Small creatures can't overpower large predators with strength, so they developed chemical weapons instead. The group continued deeper into the rainforest. The aliens' sensors constantly chirped and beeped, detecting one deadly species after another. Their fur bristled more with each discovery. Look there, James said softly, pointing to a beautiful butterfly landing on a nearby flower. Even some of our butterflies can be toxic if eaten. Earth's creatures have developed defense mechanisms in every possible way. Ambassador Kix consulted its data tablet. We've detected more lethal species in this single kilometer of rainforest than we typically find on an entire habitable planet. How do humans survive here? Before anyone could answer, a loud hiss caught their attention. A fer-de-lance snake had emerged onto the path ahead, its scales gleaming in the filtered sunlight. The alien researchers froze, their suits' alarm systems blaring. They had learned to take Earth's dangerous creatures seriously now, no matter their size. Nobody move, James said calmly, slowly raising his camera. These snakes can be aggressive, but they'll usually leave us alone if we don't threaten them. They watched in tense silence as the snake observed them for a moment, then slowly slithered away into the underbrush. We survive, Dr. Thompson answered the ambassador's earlier question, because we learn to understand and respect these creatures. Knowledge is our best defense. Later that evening, at their base camp, the alien team compiled their day's findings. Their initial confidence had been replaced by a mix of fear and fascination. A single drop of poison, Vix said, reviewing the data about the dart frog. Just one drop from a creature smaller than my hand. It's extraordinary. Dr. Mitchell smiled as she organized her samples. Wait until tomorrow. We haven't even shown you the bullet ants yet. The aliens exchanged nervous glances, their fur rippling in waves. One of them quietly adjusted its protective suit to maximum power. Ambassador Kix turned to Dr. Thompson. Perhaps we should revise our classification of Earth. This isn't just a death world. It's a masterclass in evolution's defense mechanisms. And these are just the creatures we can see, Dr. Thompson replied. Wait until you learn about our microscopic organisms. The aliens' universal translators struggled to process their collective groan of dismay. The morning sun beat down on the African savanna as the research team's vehicle bounced along the dusty track. James Cooper drove carefully, his experienced eyes scanning the landscape for movement. The alien researchers sat in the back, their protective suits now decorated with warning stickers in multiple languages. There, Dr. Thompson pointed to a group of massive gray shapes near a waterhole. Hippopotamuses. They might look peaceful, but they're one of Africa's deadliest animals. Ambassador Kix adjusted its scanning equipment, but they're plant eaters. Our scans show no venomous glands, no sharp claws, no predatory features. That's what makes them so dangerous, James replied, stopping the vehicle at a safe distance. People expect predators to be dangerous. They don't expect the vegetarians to kill them. Robert Hayes set up his camera with a long lens. Hippos kill around 500 people every year. They're incredibly territorial and can snap a small boat in half with their jaws. The aliens watched through their equipment as the massive animals wallowed in the mud. Their scans showed the hippos' impressive size, but nothing that seemed particularly threatening to their advanced technology. Perhaps a closer look, suggested Vix, still the most curious of the alien researchers despite their previous encounters with Earth's wildlife. James shook his head firmly. Not a good idea. Hippos may look slow in the water, but on land, they can outrun a human, and they don't need a reason to attack. As if to prove his point, one of the hippos suddenly lifted its head, its small eyes focusing on their vehicle. The massive animal began to emerge from the water streaming off its huge body. "Time to go," James said calmly, starting the engine. The hippo broke into a charge, moving with surprising speed for its size. The alien researchers' translators filled the vehicle with their startled exclamations as James skillfully drove away from the angry animal. Their scanning devices recorded the hippo's incredible speed and power as it pursued them for several hundred meters before giving up. That was. Ambassador Kix paused, searching for the right words. Unexpected. Later that day, they encountered a herd of Cape buffalo. The large animals grazed peacefully, but the human team kept their distance. Another of Africa's most dangerous animals, Dr. Thompson explained. They've been known to ambush and kill lions. They never forget a threat and have been known to circle back and attack hunters who wounded them. Vix, still monitoring readings from their earlier encounter, looked up. The hippo's bite force exceeded our initial estimates by 300%. How do humans defend against such creatures? Mostly by staying away from them, James answered, and by respecting their territory. The problems usually start when people forget these aren't zoo animals. A sudden commotion from the buffalo herd caught their attention. A young alien researcher had left the vehicle despite the safety briefing, trying to get better scanner readings. The buffalo noticed immediately. Several large bulls turned, lowering their horns. James was already moving, grabbing the emergency flares from the vehicle. What happened next was a blur of action. As the buffalo charged, James ran forward, lighting flares and throwing them while shouting to distract the animals. The alien researcher froze in panic, its protective suit blaring warnings. James reached the researcher just as the buffalo were about to strike, pulling them both behind a large rock. The buffalo, confused by the flares, eventually lost interest and moved away. That, Dr. Thompson said firmly once everyone was safely back in the vehicle, is why we have safety protocols. The alien researcher's fur was still bristling with fear. We thought our suit's defenses would protect you. James finished, checking the vehicle's supplies. A Cape buffalo can flip a car. Your suit might be advanced, but it's no match for 2,000 pounds of angry animal. Ambassador Kix made a note on its tablet. Perhaps we should add a section about Earth's herbivores to our hazard classification system. It seems our previous categories were insufficient. Good idea, Dr. Thompson replied with a slight smile. And we haven't even shown you the elephants yet. The aliens' collective shudder made the vehicle's windows rattle. The Australian outback stretched out before them, red earth and scattered brush reaching to the horizon. Robert Hayes knelt in the dust, his camera focused on what looked like an ordinary brown snake. This, he said quietly to the alien researchers who stood well back, is the inland taipan, the most venomous snake in the world. Ambassador Kix's translator hummed as it processed this information. More dangerous than the others we've seen. One bite contains enough venom to kill 100 humans, Dr. Mitchell explained, keeping her voice low. Or about 300 of your species, based on our biological compatibility studies. The alien researchers had come a long way from their initial overconfidence. Their protective suits now included additional layers specifically designed for Australian wildlife, and they followed every safety protocol without question. But that's not even the most interesting part. Robert continued, slowly backing away from the snake. These snakes can calculate distance and venom needs. They rarely waste venom, delivering exactly what they need to kill their prey. They can calculate, Vix asked, its fur bristling. Like a computer. Nature's own supercomputer, Dr. Thompson answered. Millions of years of evolution produced some remarkable adaptations. The team moved on to their next location, a tidal pool on the coast. The alien scanning equipment had been modified after their box jellyfish encounter, but they still seemed nervous near Earth's waters. Dr. Anderson pointed to a small, colorful octopus in the pool. The blue-ringed octopus, small enough to fit in your palm, but its venom can paralyze you so completely that you remain conscious while being unable to move or even breathe. The aliens collectively stepped back, their protective suits humming louder. They had learned to take Earth's small creatures very seriously. How do humans survive here? One of the younger researchers asked. This continent seems designed to kill. James Cooper laughed. That's just the beginning. Wait until you meet the saltwater crocodiles. As if on cue, Dr. Thompson's tablet beeped with an alert. Speaking of which, there's one now. Everyone stay back from the water's edge. The aliens watched in fascinated horror as the massive reptile emerged from the water, its ancient eyes scanning the bank. Their scanners went wild trying to process its biological data. 20 feet long, Robert said, carefully photographing the creature. The largest reptilian predator on Earth. They can stay motionless for hours, waiting for prey, and their bite force is the strongest ever recorded. Ambassador Kix made a sound that its translator couldn't quite process, and humans live near these creatures, voluntarily. We've learned to coexist, Dr. Thompson explained. Notice the warning signs, the safety barriers. We respect their territory, and we teach people how to stay safe. Later that day, at their research station, the alien team compiled their findings. Their data tablets were filled with readings that seemed to defy their previous understanding of biological limitations. Every ecosystem on your planet, Vix said, reviewing the data, has developed its own unique set of deadly defenses. The venoms alone are more complex than anything we've seen on 100 other worlds. And yet humans not only survived here, Ambassador Kix added, but became the dominant species. Dr. Thompson nodded. Because we learned, we observed, we studied, we understood. Knowledge became our greatest defense. Robert showed them his photos from the day, the Taipan strike, the blue rings flashing their warning, the crocodile's powerful jaws. Every creature here tells a story of survival. Even the plants can be deadly. The plants. Several alien voices asked at once, their translators creating an odd echo. Dr. Mitchell smiled. Oh yes, tomorrow we can show you the Jimpy plant. Its sting is so painful that horses have jumped off cliffs to escape it. The aliens' fur stood on end, and their protective suits began running new scanning protocols. Earth, they were learning, had taken the concept of defensive adaptations to an entirely new level. Perhaps, Ambassador Kix said quietly, we should revise our galaxy's classification system. Earth isn't just a death world. It's an evolutionary arms race that never ended. Back at the Global Xenobiology Research Center, Ambassador Kix sat in Dr. Thompson's office, studying the wall of photographs. Each image showed a different deadly creature they had encountered over the past weeks. There's something I don't understand, the ambassador said, its translator humming softly. How did humans become Earth's dominant species when surrounded by such dangers? Dr. Thompson smiled and pulled up a holographic display showing human history. That's exactly what made us strong. Living on Earth forced us to adapt, to think, to create. The door opened as the rest of the team joined them. Dr. Anderson carried fresh data tablets, while James Cooper brought coffee for the humans and the special nutrient drinks the aliens preferred. Think about it, Dr. Mitchell added, setting down her research notes. Every creature you've seen taught humans something important. Robert Hayes nodded, pulling up some of his recent photographs. The venomous creatures taught us about medicine. Many of our best painkillers and treatments come from studying their toxins. The predators taught us to be alert, to plan ahead, James continued. We learned to read animal behavior, to understand warning signs, to predict dangers before they happened. Ambassador Kicks's fur rippled with interest. But other Earth species are faster, stronger, more naturally armed. Your bodies have no venom, no significant defenses. We have these, Dr. Thompson said, tapping his temple. Our brains. We couldn't outfight Earth's predators, so we learned to outsmart them. We couldn't survive venom, so we made antivenins. We couldn't beat nature, so we learned to understand it. Vix, who had been analyzing their collected data, looked up. Your ability to learn from dangerous creatures is unique. Most species simply avoid threats. Exactly, Dr. Anderson agreed. Humans are curious, sometimes dangerously so, but that curiosity helped us survive. Every time we studied a deadly creature, we gained new knowledge. Dr. Mitchell pulled up her toxicology research. Look at this. The box jellyfish's venom led to breakthroughs in understanding cell death. The inland taipan's perfect venom control inspired new medical delivery systems. And it's not just about defense, James added. Understanding dangerous animals helped us become better hunters, better builders, better survivors. We learned camouflage from studying predators, efficient movement from watching snakes, community defense from observing herd animals. Ambassador Kicks stood and walked to the window, watching researchers work in the labs below. So Earth's deadly nature actually helped humans advance. It forced us to, Dr. Thompson explained. Every threat was a puzzle to solve. Every danger was a lesson to learn. We couldn't just rely on physical strength or natural weapons. We had to use our minds. And share knowledge, Robert added, showing more photos. Humans survived because we taught each other. Every tribe, every culture had its own lessons about local dangers. We learned from each other's experiences. The ambassador turned back to the group, its fur moving in what they now recognized as deep thought. So when we classify humans as Earth's apex predator, it's not because we're the strongest or most deadly, Dr. Thompson finished. It's because we learned from everything that could kill us. We turned understanding into our greatest weapon. Vix's scanner beeped as it finished processing data. Humans have recorded and studied more lethal species than any other world we've encountered. You actively seek out dangerous creatures to learn from them. That's humanity's real strength, Dr. Anderson said softly. We're not the fastest, strongest, or most venomous, but we might be the most adaptable species in the galaxy. Ambassador Kicks made a note on its tablet. Perhaps that's why Earth produced such remarkable humans. Living here requires constant learning, constant adaptation. And we're still learning, Dr. Thompson said, looking at the wall of photos. Every creature, no matter how dangerous, has something to teach us. That's why we study them. The ambassador's translator hummed as it processed a sound of agreement. Then perhaps we should revise our understanding of what makes a species dominant. It's not just about natural weapons or defenses. No, Dr. Thompson smiled. Sometimes the best defense is understanding. The great hall of the Stellar Council hummed with excited conversation. Hundreds of alien species filled the massive room, their translators creating a strange musical effect as they discussed the upcoming presentation. Ambassador Kicks stood at the center platform, surrounded by holographic displays showing Earth's deadliest creatures. The human research team sat in a special section nearby, their presence causing curious whispers among the gathered aliens. Distinguished members of the Stellar Council, Kicks began, its translator projecting clearly through the hall. I come to present our findings about Earth and its remarkable inhabitants. The first hologram expanded, showing the box jellyfish. Several council members flinched, having already read the preliminary reports about Mira's encounter. We began this study thinking we understood what made a world dangerous, Kix continued. We were wrong. Earth defied every classification in our system. Images of Earth's deadly creatures appeared one after another. The inland taipan's strike, the hippopotamus's charge, the blue-ringed octopus's warning display. Each image caused more murmurs among the council members. In a single Earth week, we encountered more lethal species than most of our researchers see in a lifetime of planetary exploration. But that's not what makes Earth truly remarkable. Dr. Thompson and his team watched as Kix brought up new displays showing human cities, research centers, and nature preserves. The humans didn't just survive their deadly world. They thrived in it. They turned their planet's dangers into opportunities for learning. Every lethal creature became a teacher. The ambassador gestured to the human team. These researchers showed us how humanity's greatest strength isn't technology or natural defenses. It's their ability to understand and adapt. Vic stepped forward with the data analysis. Earth's creatures developed the most complex venoms we've ever studied. Their predators evolved extraordinary hunting abilities. Their herbivores became living tanks. Even their plants can kill. And yet, Kix continued, humans learned from all of them. They created medicines from venoms, protective strategies from predators, and warning systems from their study of deadly plants. The council chamber fell silent as images of human medical laboratories appeared, showing how Earth's deadliest creatures were helping create new treatments and technologies. Therefore, Kix announced, we recommend two things. First, that Earth be reclassified as a Class 5 death world, the highest designation in our system. No other known planet has produced so many lethal species in such variety. Excited whispers filled the chamber. No world had ever received such a classification. Second, and more importantly, we recommend that humans be granted full membership in the Stellar Council, with special status as survival experts. Their experience living on Earth has given them unique insights into adaptation and coexistence with deadly species. Dr. Thompson watched as the council members discussed among themselves. Robert quietly took photos of the historic moment, while Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Anderson compiled their final notes. The head of the council, a tall being with crystalline features, stepped forward. This is unprecedented. Never has a species from a death world achieved such advancement without destroying their ecosystem. Exactly, Kix replied. Humans didn't conquer their world's dangers. They learned from them. They protect and study the very creatures that could kill them. This wisdom could be invaluable to our exploration of other dangerous worlds. The council voted. The chamber's walls glowed as each member registered their decision. When the light faded, the head of council spoke again. Earth is officially classified as a Class 5 death world, and humanity is granted full council membership with special status. Furthermore, we request that human experts help establish new protocols for studying dangerous species across the galaxy. Dr. Thompson smiled as he watched Ambassador Kix complete the formal acceptance. What had started as a simple wildlife study had become a turning point in human history. As the ceremony concluded, Kix turned to the human team. There's just one thing I still don't understand, the ambassador said. After everything you showed us, after all the deadly creatures we encountered, how do you still seem so calm about living on Earth? James Cooper grinned. That's easy, he replied. Earth may be dangerous, but it's home. And sometimes, the most dangerous things make the best teachers.